I'm gonna chase it, and I'm gonna chase it. I know we can't ignore it, no matter how hard we try. And I'm gonna chase it, and I'm gonna chase it. I know we can't ignore it, no matter how hard we try. Fire in the veins, I fight to gain, breaking all the rules to keep me sane. Living the moment till I die. And I'm gonna chase it, and I'm gonna chase it. I know we can't ignore it, no matter how hard we try. And I'm gonna chase it, and I'm gonna chase it. I know we can't ignore it, no matter how hard we try. No matter how hard we try.
Welcome to 4th and 10U, the home of college football for everyone. Whether you're a die-hard fan who lives for Saturdays or just getting into the game, you're in the right place. Hit that subscribe button and join the team. This is 4th and 10U, where every play is a chance to make history.
Good evening or good afternoon, depending on where you're at. Welcome to a brand new episode of 4th and 10U. I am your host, Ali the Persian, and we got Mike on the mic. How's everybody doing? Right? How is everybody doing? How you doing, Mike? How is everything?
Man, I'm great, dude. I'm excited for another episode. Got some cool stuff to talk about.
Yeah, definitely. And, at the time that we're recording this episode, it's May the 4th be with you, right? This is an episode that's probably going to come from a far, far away, someplace out there in the galaxy. So we'll be talking about many, many things going on in college football today. But before we get started, make sure you do that wonderful thing, right? Make sure you hit the like button. Subscribe if you're new. Turn on the notification bell, right? Please follow us on Twitter. We got some exciting breaking news that we're about to drop. And I'm going to give it up to my friend and co-host here to give out the breaking news. You got it, Mike.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
everybody. For those of you that maybe don't watch YouTube, or you like to listen to something while you're driving, or maybe you're at work and popping those earbuds in or earbuds and want something to listen to that passes the time, we've released our brand new channel on Spotify. You can find us as 4th and 10U. We've got all our episodes, pre-recorded episodes are on there now. Go hit that like button, subscribe to us over there too. Leave some comments. I hope you enjoy it. You can't see our pretty faces, but you definitely hear our wonderful voices. So yeah, it's pretty awesome. We're expanding our reach, trying to get on multiple platforms. It'll be the first of many different avenues that you can find us. If you're listening on Spotify, thank you very much. If you're watching us on YouTube, thank you again. Hit that subscribe button, turn on your notification bell, hit the like button, and leave us some feedback. We appreciate it. We like to interact with everybody. So this is our brand new channel. We released it last week, where we started it last week. We're in the process of getting all our content over here. But again, we appreciate y'all, and check us out on Spotify. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. 100%. Please check us out on Spotify. I will make sure that the link to our Spotify account is actually in our description, right? So go to the description, click on the link there. So I'll make sure it's listed. We really appreciate everybody, all of the followers. Most importantly, if you want instant updates, make sure that you have access to talk to us, message us as you need to, DM us if you need to. Go to Twitter and follow us at Fourth and 10U there on Twitter as well. I put on my shades, Mike. You're talking about listening to tunes. I'm listening to some Ray Charles or Stevie Wonder or something and just hanging out. That's why I had to put the shades down. Oddly enough, and this was not even intentional, these shades were customly made for me at a Comic-Con I was at, and they're actually Star Wars sunglasses. The engraving that's on the side is a faction that is in the Han Solo movie, if you've ever seen it. But
That's
yeah,
awesome.
that was not intentional. It just so happens I had them, and I'm wearing my Mandalorian shirt, as you can kind of see already. But yeah, may the 4th be with you. It is kind of interesting. Let's talk about that for a second. And actually, before we talk about that, because I really want to talk about Star Wars and kind of geek out for a second when it comes to college football. But there's something really important that we need to do here. And that's always, before we start any show, we make sure that the cleat fits, right? One thing I'll say is, here at 4th and 10U, and you'll learn this about myself and about Mike, we want to make sure that the good word is passed along. We want to pay it forward to our audience just as much as you would pay it forward to the next person, right? And with that, as this month has been from the start of this month and keep on going, it's Mental Health Awareness Month, right? So today's cleats that we're going to talk about, cause for cleat, we say, does the cleat fits? The cause that we're going to talk about today is activeminds.org, right? If you don't know, Active Minds mobilizes youth and young adults to transform mental health norms across society. They are building a movement of lasting champions who are improving mental health norms for all through our advocacy and programs, including the Active Minds Chapter Network, Active Minds Speakers, ASK Cause Plus Career, Emerging Scholars Fellowship, Mental Health Advocacy, and Institute, and Send Silence Packing. They equip youth to join a growing, connected, and diverse movement of peer mental health champions. They envision a society that forever values and prioritizes mental health by equipping, connecting, and amplifying the collective and diverse voices of youth and young adults. They're building a movement of lasting champions who improve mental health norms for all. They've had 20 years of impact. That's how long they've been doing this, just so you know. Their headquarters is in Washington, D.C., now in more than 1,000 campuses and communities, including more than 600 student-led chapters. They directly reach more than 1.9 million people each year. They do this through their values. Their values are creating change together, evolve purposefully, pursue equity and inclusion, and invite authenticity. Yeah, authenticity. Sorry about that.
Authenticity.
Yes, sorry. Can't speak today. It's kind of a mouthful. But go to activeminds.org if you want to learn more about them. You can learn how to get involved, how to, what services they provide, what programs they have, learn more about mental health. You can donate. They have merch there you can purchase that, the money goes to people, that, for some of the programs that they have. Like I said before, they've reached over 8 million students have been impacted by the programs that they offer. Over 600 plus campuses, over 4,000 events are held each year with Active Minds. So go to activeminds.org to find out more. Mike, you got any final words on Active Minds?
No, I think it's an awesome organization. It's a heck of a reach they can get, or that they have. And reaching students, I think, is important because future of society is the students.
Yep, 100%. Again, welcome to 4th and 10U. Let's get the show on the road. I just want to make sure we, pass that message along. And just to clarify, if anyone's asking, no, we're not related or affiliated with any of these causes. We are just passing the good word along. That's all we're doing. So, that being said, it is May the 4th be with you by the time that this is being recorded. However, by the time you might be watching this or listening to it on Spotify, it may be Revenge of the Sith at that point. So, with that being said, let's actually talk a little bit about Star Wars and how it relates to college football, right? So college football and Star Wars share a universe of passionate fandoms, right? That's where we're connected. There's just as many Star Wars fans as there are college football fans. Legendary rivals and dramatic story arcs drive college football each year, just like the whole saga has. If you're a fan, or if not even you're a fan, I'm sure you know what the gist of Star Wars is, right? So let's explore some college football teams and how they align with certain iconic Star Wars characters. Drawing maybe we can draw a parallel here. Okay, so when you think of Yoda, Mike, let's do this exercise a little bit. When you think of Yoda, and you know who Yoda is, right? Are you first of all, are you a Star Wars fan? Let's actually start there.
I grew up watching Star Wars. I wouldn't call myself a diehard, but yeah, I follow it pretty well.
Okay, so you know at least who Yoda is, right? I'm pretty sure you do. So, what team do you think would resemble Yoda and why?
Can I go past?
You can, whatever team, doesn't matter.
Nick Saban's Alabama team.
Interesting thought. I have a different team in mind, or I'm sorry, different character, I should say, in mind for Alabama. But that's interesting. I would say maybe the Florida Gators. Wise and strategic, the Florida Gators embody Yoda's deep understanding of the Force. Their ability to adapt and remain competitive over decades show a mastery akin of the Jedi Grand Master's teaching, right? But that's what they say. But that's not the reason why I equated them to Yoda. Think about the environment that the Gators are in.
Wow, that's
They're
pretty
in a
pretty
swamp,
sly there,
right?
buddy.
And the Gators are, the Gators are in the swamp, right? That's what we call it here. Yoda lived in a swamp kind of area. You know what I mean? If you remember the movies at all, he was in his house, had this little hut, and he was in a swamp area. That's where I went with that. Let's see here. Let's see. Michigan Wolverines. What character would you think of when it comes to Michigan Wolverines?
Chewbacca.
Interesting. According to this, Michigan's journey marked by legacy and pursuit of reclaiming past glory parallels Kylo Ren, internal conflict and desire to live up to its lineage, which makes sense. They used to be, in the 70s and 80s and stuff, and into the 90s. Michigan held it down, bro. They were very competitive each year. They seemed to have at one point have Ohio State's number. Come the early 2000s, Ohio State was like, nah, no more. We went on an 8-game winning streak against Michigan, and they were trying to do whatever they could to win, and bring back that past glory. So it makes sense. I get what they're saying. I get why you would say Chewbacca too. Makes sense if you've ever been to Michigan.
Bunch of nonsense coming out of their mouth. That's all I say.
Yeah, I would agree. That's a good one. Here's an interesting one.
My dog is trying to steal the show tonight. She will not leave me alone.
Well, I think she's jealous because you've been showing the other dog for the most part.
I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
This is Marley. For those of you that can see her, for those of you on Spotify, I'm sure she's going to talk here in a minute if I don't give her what she wants. But I don't know what she wants. Anyways, keep going.
So, let's think of this one. This one's interesting. Mace Windu. What team would you consider to be parallel to Mace Windu?
To answer this question, I'd have to know who that was.
Samuel L. Jackson's character in one of the prequels.
Oh, episode 1.
He was in episode 1, 2, and I think he was also in 3. Yeah, he was in 3.
I mean, a bona fide, excuse my language, bona fide badass. I'd have to say Texas.
Oh, you're on the money tonight. Someone go tell Mike to go play the lottery. Texas Longhorns is what they consider to be paralleled with Mace Windu, commanding respect and widely significant influence. Texas parallels Mace Windu's authoritative presence within the Jedi Council. Their storied program and leadership aspires reflect a commitment to maintaining order and excellence. Very, very interesting. I like that. I like that a lot.
Me too. I'm right.
So this is this is two different characters, so to speak. You mentioned Alabama. What they are saying, the parallel to Alabama is Emperor Palpatine. Alabama's reign under Nick Saban reflects Emperor Palpatine's calculated and enduring control over the galaxy. Their methodology, methodical, sorry.
Methodical.
Yeah, sorry, I can't even read today. I'm sorry.
Hang on. Hey, go back. Ollie, methodical? Is that what you said?
No, I don't know what I said. Don't worry about it.
Diabolical, whatever.
Yeah, I get they actually
approach.
Say that again. What word did you just say?
Methodical.
That's the word I'm trying to say. Methodical. Methodical approach to building a dynasty showcases a mastery akin to the emperor's strategic prowess. I definitely agree with this. Let's not go back too far. I want to say it was the early 2000s. You remember Nick Saban signed a big contract with the Miami Dolphins. He coached 3 teams and then just decided 3 games and decided to just jump ship. Right? Let's not forget about that.
At 7 o'clock in the morning, he jumped on a plane. Didn't say nothing to nobody.
And then look at him. He just took over after that at Alabama and ran wild, right? Makes complete sense. This
it's
next
like
one
when the dark side lost Anakin, they just went nuts.
This
Saban
next one
lost Drew Brees and he said, screw it.
This next one definitely 100% fits the bill. And I know you're probably going to hate on me, but it does fit the bill. And there's more to it than just simple as saying it fits the bill. The Ohio State Buckeyes parallel, according to this article, is Darth Vader. And the reason for that, and let me read this specific so I can read it to you. Dominant, disciplined, and often perceived as the villain by rivals. Ohio State mirrors Darth Vader's formidable presence with a storied history and commanding on-field performance. The Buckeyes, like Vader, are a force to be reckoned with, which I definitely agree with that. But what's interesting enough, and I understand this may be of opinion, because everyone has their own opinion, and that's perfectly fine. Ohio State's marching band, in my opinion, is one of the best damn bands in the land, right? They are very, very good at what they do. And they are very, historically, they have performed some Star Wars music from the original series and everything. Specifically, the Emperor's March, right? That right there, that's why I said it makes sense for being Darth Vader, and that's why I'm going with it. So I just thought that was kind of cool how there's parallels between Star Wars and college teams. Trying to have some fun with it.
Yeah, dude.
So
Yeah, dude, I like it. I'm letting the dog out. I'm still here. Don't forget about me.
oh, I'm not gonna forget about you. But I think I know Marvel and Disney have a collab, and Star Wars is there now. But it kind of looks like we're on the Marvel comic book side because Mike on the mic has turned into the Invisible Man. So that's why we can still hear him, but he's invisible.
Touche. Touche.
Just having some fun, man. Hey, come on, it's May the 4th be with you. Let's have some fun with it. But make sure you hit the like button, turn on notification bell, subscribe if you're new, go on Twitter, follow us there, and make sure you check us brand new on Spotify. We already have some of our previous episodes from the TFTG network over there on there already, so you can go ahead and listen to them. Appreciate all of you and the support we get from you guys. Mike, let me know when you get back.
Yo.
I appreciate it.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm here. I can hear you. I'm about to get back on screen. Smart.
All right. Let's get to it. So first up,
My dog had to drop a deuce.
oh, okay. All right. Well,
Much rather it happen outside than inside.
hey, him and Keyshawn Judkins have like something in common now. I don't know if you knew this, but when Keyshawn got the call from the Browns, Mama T, his mom, answered the phone because Keyshawn was already dropping deuces on his way to Cleveland, right? That's exactly what happened. So
Hey, he's fitting it right in with the Browns, man. He's going.
yeah, I thought it was very funny, but shout out to him. And if you ever listen to his mom speak and actually been around her at all or conversed with her on social media, super cool woman. Shout out to Mama T. I need you to get you on the show. We need to interview one day. I will be sending a DM soon. That being said, portal to portal, massive news. The college football season ended. It feels like so long ago, but it really hasn't been. It's only been maybe 2 or 3 months. And already it seems like we've been on this roller coaster of news. We went from, the coaching carousel. That's the gift that keeps on giving, a new coach being hired or fired every other day. And in fact, I'm pretty sure there's some new hires that just happened. I just don't have the list here in front of me to talk about them. But one thing that's been really blowing up this year, I've never seen the transfer portal this big in years past. It has never been like this. Now, I know they've waived some restrictions on how, you can move to a different team, but at some point it's getting kind of out of hand. And before we talk about that, I just want to highlight and give shout out to some of the players that have been in the news recently when it comes to the transfer portal. Shout out to AJ Halsey. I'm going to go with Halsey, right? They've lodged an expert prediction that LSU is going to land Houston's transfer safety, AJ Halsey. So shout out to LSU. They're getting better using the transfer portal. Also, former 5-star wide receiver Mika Hudson is transferring back to Texas Tech. This guy was with Texas Tech originally, then went to the Aggies, right? With Texas A&M, and then went back to Texas Tech. I guess he didn't like that side of Texas. Maybe that's what the issue was. I don't know. But shout out to shout out to them getting a little bit better with a 5-star receiver.
He's a partier instead of a farmer.
Maybe. Is that what are you telling me? Everybody at Texas Tech are a bunch of partiers? Is that what it is?
It's like the number one drinking college in the NCAA.
Damn.
And Texas A&M is all about farming.
Interesting. Also, this one is a kind of a big one, and maybe you can talk about him. Jonte Cook. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Transferred originally from Longhorns to Washington, now to Syracuse. What can you tell me about this guy? Anything?
He's a titty baby. He doesn't get what he wants, he leaves. He never performed like his rating out of high school in Texas. He went to Washington. I don't even think he lasted a full season there. He transferred back out. Now he's in Syracuse. He just keeps downgrading every time he goes to a new school. I don't have any respect for him. He quit on Texas. He quit on Washington, and that wouldn't surprise me. He quit on Syracuse. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure he has legal trouble too.
Oh, okay. All
He's a,
right.
he's a
Well,
he's a talented wide receiver. Got breakaway speed, but he's just in my mind he's a quitter.
very, very interesting. Thank you for sharing that with us. Hopefully, he doesn't have any legal troubles. Hopefully, hope
Yeah.
that's not the case. This is kind of a big one. Tulane's QB TJ Finley has entered the transfer portal. Right. This is very interesting, specifically because since we had
Hang on. Before we go on, Jonte Cook, he was kicked off of Texas and he was kicked off of Washington. So he's not legal trouble. It's just bad teammate.
Does it give a reason why he was kicked off?
Let's see. He was dun, 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 dun. It says that Syracuse apparently is going to ignore the telltale warning signs. Grant this guy one more opportunity. He's from DeSoto. He was a 5-star recruit. He was dismissed by Washington for breaking team rules shortly after arriving. They haven't given any reasons as to why he did it. Missing workouts, getting entangled with new teammates, insolent. Those are just some of the rumors that came out. Same thing happened in Texas. He didn't buy into well, I guess it was a mutual decision there, but he didn't buy into Sarkisian's way, and it sounds like he's just a me player personally.
Very
So,
interesting.
anyways,
This is kind of a big one. TJ Finley has entered the NCAA transfer portal, right? Finley has previously made stops at LSU, Auburn, Texas State, and Western Kentucky, right? The reason I'm bringing it in light to this is because it seems like this year in the transfer portal, a lot of people are in need of a quarterback, right? And quarterbacks aren't necessarily happy where they're at. We had the kid out of Tennessee that recently transferred to UCLA for arguably less money than what he was getting in Tennessee. Does not make sense.
yeah, I gotta give you your kudos on that. I could have sworn he transferred for the money, but sounds like he just transferred to transfer, and he going to California. He loses all that money in taxes anyways. So
Yeah,
maybe it
that's
wasn't
what
about
it
the
didn't
money.
make sense. Why would you transfer for money if you're going to take less money? I didn't understand that. So, we'll see what happens there. From my understanding, his brother also is transferring there as well, who's also a quarterback. I think he's a little bit
Hey,
younger though.
that was
Good.
the first trade in that was the first trade in NCAA history. Tennessee got their quarterback from UCLA, and UCLA got their quarterback from Tennessee. They just traded money and everything.
Yeah, it was very interesting. I'm just very I don't know. I just UCLA though. There's other teams that he could have went to. UCLA just kind of scratched my head a little bit. I personally thought he was going to end up at North Carolina. Who wouldn't want to play for Bill Belichick? Technically, right? Hall of Fame
Hey,
NFL head coach.
don't get it wrong. They'd be playing for Jordan Hudson, not Bill. He don't wear the pants anymore.
Damn. Hold on to that thought. We'll talk about that after we're done talking about the portal. We'll definitely talk about that. Yeah, so definitely this will be very interesting where he lands. Let's see here. This is one for you, right? Breaking
Yeah, I saw that.
quarterback Matthew Caldwell has signed with the Texas Longhorns. Caldwell totaled 1,608 passing yards and 13 touchdowns last season. Tell me why did you guys pick this guy up, or what can you tell me about him?
I don't really know a whole lot about him. I know he's just a student of the game, but we brought him in, I think, because of experience. Because behind Arch Manning, we got true freshmen. and Dia Bell, I think is his name, the backup that we had before this guy transferred in. But I think this guy is somebody that he brings a lot more experience in the college game. He may have only had 1 year. I think he has 1 year left of eligibility, so this will be his final year. But I'm pretty sure they just brought him in for experience behind Arch because Dia Bell, he may not be ready right now, and if Arch gets hurt, they don't want to roll with the true freshman.
I definitely understand that. The experience that's you need to have a somewhat competent guy in the as a backup position to Arch Manning. I completely understand. But please enlighten me. Did you guys sign anybody? Any quarterbacks in any new recruits in recruiting at all? I think you guys got
We got some
somebody.
in the for next year's class, but the guy we got is Dia Bell. I'm gonna tell you who he is really quick. That was Matthew Caldwell. Uh, let's see. I'm pretty sure that's the only one that we got. He's a 4-star. I think he might be a 5-star, but he's just tiny. He's really, really, really tiny. Um, we got a recruit for 2027. Or we're a top contender for Trey Owens. Dun 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 dun. Yeah, it's Dia Bell. He was a 5-star. He's the only one we have before, or he committed in March, but he's literally the only one we have. That we don't have anybody else this year that can play. So that's the reason they got him. I don't think they had any other big time recruits that came in.
Very, very interesting. With that being said, I'm going to continue a little bit more on this recruiting trail. Nebraska lands 2027 4-star quarterback Trey Taylor. Nebraska is Dylan is in the Dylan Raiola era right now, who was a former commitment to Ohio State before backing out and going to Nebraska of all places. But one of the challenges of being a college football coach in 2025 and beyond is that you have to always be thinking about the future. Teams are starting to now land recruits for future classes, even not even the next class, but the one after that. I've been reading a lot of stuff where teams are now starting to recruit right out of junior high. In 8th grade, they're already offering players, making offers. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think it's too soon? Do you think it's gotten too crazy or out of hand? Or do you think it's good for football that they start recruiting at this young age?
I mean, they've been. I'm pretty sure I'm right on this, but for the last 10, 15 years, you've seen 14 and 15-year-olds getting offered by some schools. I don't know how many of them actually ended up at the school that was offered, but it gives them something to. I don't know. If the NIL is involved, then they're too young because that means the parents getting all the money. But I do know that they've been recruiting young for a while now.
Yeah, they've been doing it for a hot minute. I'm just curious, like, what your thoughts are. Especially, do you think like an 8th grader receiving, scholarship to, like, let's say Ohio State? I'm just
Yo,
using them as an example. Do you think what
technical
happened?
as always. So, love it.
I think it's on your end, bro.
Man, this dog is all about getting on camera today.
Oh, okay. I think it is on your end because
Hey,
you're
he's back.
freezing
He's
up.
smiling.
No, I think it's on your end. I
And
really
again,
do.
maybe I'm frozen.
Yeah, I think you were. So anyway, at least you're frozen on my end. I don't know. It's kind of weird.
Those of you who us on Spotify, give us some comments on some of the people that you've seen. I'm looking it up really quick to see how many people have been recruited while they're in junior high. Let's see here. Max Preps. Those are junior. Oh no. Junior year. Nope. Chino Hills. It's a junior high school a lot of people go to. Hey, you're
Mhm.
back.
I've been back the whole time. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. You were frozen with a really goofy smile on your face.
What's weird is you're frozen on my end, so I don't know. It may be StreamYard. So we apologize. We'll
Uh-oh.
figure these things out and we'll get it rocking. But let's move on with it. Basically, I'm
Santa
asking like,
Clarita. Yeah, Santa Clarita, Chino Hills, Katy, Texas. Those are some of the schools that colleges have
mhm,
been going to recruit.
yeah, I it's really, really interesting what they're doing now. Um, especially with with recruiting at a younger age, and as they go through the process. Um, but in some schools, the recruiting is getting literally even larger or bigger, if you want to say. USC head coach Lincoln Riley just hit it big with 5-star offensive tackle. They just were able to go ahead and get, and I apologize if I messed this name up. Kini Pepe, a 5-star offensive tackle recruit from IMG Academy in Florida. Where all the big boys play and all the big time college football players are from down here in Florida nowadays. It's either Texas, Florida, or Ohio. That's where you're going to find all the top players, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion. No, there's players all over the country. I'm just shouting out where I'm from at this point. Um, but
Hey, don't forget about the OSU sticking it to Dan Lanning in Oregon today.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely talk about that as well. But this kid is a 6'7", 320 pounds, and is ranked as the number 3 offensive tackle in the 2026 recruiting class. Already hitting
A
it
big
big at
boy.
USC. Yes, very, very big boy. Shout out to them. But it doesn't
Hey,
end
real quick
there. Go
before
ahead.
we move on, back to the junior high. Something that intrigues me about it is the body change from junior high to high school. Um, I don't know why you would recruit somebody that hasn't even gone through puberty yet, and they still have, you don't know what they're gonna. They could gain a bunch of weight, turn it into an offensive lineman, or as a wide receiver, turn it into tight end. I think it is kind of weird that they would recruit so young there.
Well, maybe it has to do with the school that, some of these players are going to. If they go to like an academy where it's like a kindergarten through 12th grade type of system, they may have some type of football program that they already have installed where they already have a strength and conditioning and nutritionist there to put them through the process, for their own game, when it comes to college football, when it comes to high school football. I mean, one thing I've noticed is that depending on where you're at, some of these high schools, especially these private high schools, they take their sports very seriously. And that's why people go to them. It's because of, what type of experience they're going to have to get them prepared for college football or, whatever sport it may be.
So
So
down
go
here, down here close to me, we got a town called Southlake, and they're notorious because they're Pee Wee football league. From time you're 10 to high school, they run all the same system. So they literally groom you from the time you're playing Pee Wee football to junior high football to high school football to play the same system. And
Mhm.
so it's a pipeline. They've set up a pipeline to where they just funnel their kids in from Pee Wee to, and by the time they get to high school, they know the system like the back of their hand. So, but South Lake's been a dominant powerhouse. They had a rough stretch once Todd Dodge left, but his son's actually there coaching now. And don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure they won a state championship this year.
Mm, mm. That's pretty cool. That is really awesome. Yeah, I have a guest that I'm going to try to get on the show soon that we'll go into more detail about this whole process and what they go through and what all entails with recruiting. Even some cases where I know parents will purposefully move their kids to certain school districts to get them into a certain school, for that football program as well. So we'll definitely talk more about that coming soon. But I didn't want this to go unnoticed. I know Longhorns have been signing people left and right, but OSU hit a big one today. Breaking 4-star wide receiver Caden Dixon Wyatt has committed to Ohio State. 6'2", 180-pound wide receiver out of Oakland, California, chose the Buckeyes over Oregon and Alabama. That's big. That's big there. So
he's got some talent too. I watched some film on him, and dude can snatch the ball out of the air.
yeah, I mean, dude, I don't know if you've looked at Brian Hartline's recruiting classes over the past 3 years. It is stupid. You got Jeremiah Smith, you got Carnell Tate, you got Chris Henry Jr., who has not even played a snap for us yet, right? He's in this coming up class. Even before then you had Ibuka. Yes, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
But then you also have Quincy Porter, who I'm excited for this year. He's super fast, twitchy, one of those twitchy type receivers that can catch the ball and take it to the house at any point. And then you pick up this kid. Oh, it's good to be a Buckeye fan. Anyway, it is getting nuts over there. I know what they're thinking. Offense. I like it.
Would you stop?
But I wanted to end on some Texas news, right? And I want to get your thoughts on this. Steve Sarkisian and Arch Manning opted out of the EA Sports College Football 26 cover shoot at the Rose Bowl. What are your thoughts on this, bro?
I like it. It's all business. And Arch Manning comes from a legacy family. And there's a lot. I'm glad you brought this up. So Sarkisian's all business. That's what this tells me. Second of all, for Arch Manning, everybody's starting to place him in the draft class for next year. But both of his uncles played out their entire college eligibility. And so from all accounts, from everything that's been said, all of his teammates, the kid's all business. And in a day and age of athletes of his caliber leaving college early to go to the pros, I think you've seen the road, the pathway has been paved for him to stay and finish his eligibility. I think he's got 3 years left of college football eligibility, and but them opting out, and they're not trying to lose their focus on what's at hand, and what's at hand is they want to win, and I personally like it. I love the culture that Sarkisian's built down in Austin. There's talk they're spending 35 to 40 million. But nobody's talking about how much money they're getting. Nobody's talking about how big these NIL contracts are for these kids, not from Texas at least. But they've hit the recruiting trail like crazy, the transfer portal like crazy. They got massive on the defensive line. They brought in 5 defensive linemen. Don't know where you're going to play them all, but what Sarkisian's doing and what that right there tells me of them opting out, it's all business down in Austin right now.
Yeah, 100%. I think it is all business right there in Austin. And you know what? I guess like depending on what's going on with your program, you may decide to partake in some of those benefits along the way, and sometimes you don't. I do know for a fact Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Day were there in attendance to be part of the photo shoot. I was curious to what you think, because I know, on the pro side, people are concerned that there's this curse on the Madden cover, because whoever's on the Madden cover generally doesn't do well the following year. I didn't know if that was the case going on, but it makes sense. Texas has been striving to be, regain that dominance and actually take control of college football. For the past 2 years, they've been trying, I want to say even the year before that, the past 3 years. So, and they've been failing in certain areas, almost like on clockwork. They get, dominant season, they get to the playoffs, in the semifinal, just can't get over the hump, right? I really feel if they get over the hump this next season, they're actually going to win it finally. You know what I mean? That's where I think they're at. And I think that's what they have. They have to continue to maintain that excellence and keep it business. They still have to figure out Georgia. You guys have not figured out Georgia. That's a big issue. I think that really should be the focus. Especially you don't want to put too much on a young quarterback, Arch Manning. You don't want to put too much pressure.
I agree with that 100%. Texas is still trying to regain their form. 2005 is the last championship, and they're still trying to make it back. But back to EA College Football 26. you mentioned Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Day were there for the photo shoot. There's Jeremiah Smith himself is going to be the first 100 overall player on the game.
That's what the rumor is. Yes, that is what the rumor is. It's very interesting. Look,
Yeah, something's going on with the internet. It might probably mine. I don't know.
it's all right, man. I can still
Ali
hear
looks
you.
asleep on my end.
I can still hear you, bro. Can you hear me okay? You can still hear me, right?
Hmm.
No?
Oh, he's back.
Yeah, you can still hear me okay, right?
I can hear you now. I couldn't hear you when you were looking like this.
Oh, okay. Bro, for real, on my end, it's kind of funny because I can see you like frozen, but we can hear everything that you're saying. So I
Hey, that
think,
works. At least.
yeah, it's so weird. So anyway, that being said, um, the rumor is that Jeremiah Smith is going to be the first 100 overall player in the next college football EA, which will be very, very interesting. I hope that doesn't cause, said curse, if you want to call it that. But I will say that I've argued that Jeremiah Smith is the best wide receiver in college football. He's the most elite wide receiver in college football. And we made arguments on why he would have been the number one overall pick in college football, right? If you're in that discussion, by default, I think you have to have one of the highest grades ever when it comes to a video game at that point. Because if you know what I'm saying? If you're in that type of discussion, then it's valid on why you would grade him that high. Now, will he back it up with an outstanding season 2 for his sophomore year? I think he can. What do you think?
Oh, definitely. That dude's a stud. He's the man amongst boys. He is to the wide receiver position what Vince Young was to the quarterback position when he played. He's just bigger, stronger, faster than everybody out there. He's got leaping ability through the roof. He catches everything that touches his hands. His route running's pristine. Jeremiah Smith, if he plays 2 more years, he'll go down as probably the greatest college wide receiver of all time.
100%. I don't like comparing wide receivers. I mean, to be honest, but I will say that what does this mean in NFL terms? It means that the Jeremiah Smith is the Justin Jefferson of this of the league, basically. That's basically what
Dude,
he is.
I'd go to a more dominant wide receiver and say Julio Jones. We haven't seen anything like what Jeremiah Smith is doing since Julio Jones. Julio Jones, he made a mockery of DBs in college, and Jeremiah Smith is doing the same thing. It literally took Texas triple coveraging him. Sometimes they had 4 guys bracketing him to slow him down. We haven't seen that type of dominance at the wide receiver position in a long, long time. I mean, Odell Beckham and Justin Jefferson were great, but Jeremiah Smith, he didn't have a number 1 overall wide receiver on the other side of the field like JJ and OBJ did. And you go back to Jarvis Landry it was Justin Jefferson and who was the other guy? He plays for Cincinnati. My mind's going blank.
Jamar
Jamar
Chase.
Chase. So it was JJ and Jamar Chase, and then you go back to Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry. These guys that have had the top receivers that have come out, they've always had a 1A on the other side of the field. Where Jeremiah Smith, he has a bunch of 1Bs or some 2Bs. Egbuka was great, but he wasn't the same level as Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson. Carnell Tate's not the same level as them, and Jeremiah Smith is still doing things that those guys were doing, but they didn't have the coverage attention that Jeremiah Smith has. That's why I think he's one of the most dominant ones we've seen in a long time, especially as a freshman. And what he did against Oregon, I mean, yeah, that's enough said. He put on a show in that game. So, anyways, but that's just my take. Y'all have an all time great in my opinion.
Yeah, it's really interesting what will happen. I personally think that Jeremiah Smith ultimately is the best college football receiver we've seen in a long time. He's the most complete package, right? There's not one part of his game that it's like, oh, he needs to develop that still. You know what I mean? I've seen him in triple coverage catch the ball. I've seen him one-on-one. He'll catch the ball and take it to the house. He can play out of the backfield. The guy does it all. That's what it comes down to. The guy does it all. And it's very rare that you see that type of talent, being maximized so quickly in one's career like that. So shout out to him. I know he's going to go on to have a great, successful season this coming up season. But he's one of those few players that, I only see him playing maybe 3 years in college before he's dipping out. You know what I mean? I don't
Hey,
think he'll
I'm work
do
I'm
4 years.
working I'm working on my fantasy 2027 draft right now, and I've got 3 first round picks, so I can trade up and get Jeremiah Smith and Arch Manning.
Dang, Mike on the mic's already moving to 2027 players. He just said, I'm gonna skip 25, I'm gonna skip 26, let's go to 2027.
I traded away so much stuff and just kept getting. I think I have like 7 picks in a 3 round draft for 2027 because I'm anticipating Jeremiah Smith, Ryan Williams, and Arch Manning being in that draft. And if they are, I'm snagging all of them.
Wow, wow, wow. I speaking of Arch Manning, I think he plays all 4 years of high
I do
school.
too.
Not high school, college.
College.
I'm sorry, college, yeah.
Yep.
I don't think he's gonna be
His
the one
uncles
to get
did it.
out early.
Yeah, his uncles did it. And and for me, um, personally, uh Texas was notorious. Nobody left early for Texas, and then
Mhm.
Vince Young left early, and then Jamar Charles, and now it's just a waterfall of players that leave early. And a player of Arch Manning's caliber, if he lives up to his height, um, for him to stay and play out his entire eligibility, man, I hopefully more players will start doing it because it just as college football fans, this being a college football show, we get robbed of some of the what could be some of the greatest seasons when these kids leave early. And I get it, money plays a part. You don't want to get hurt. I understand all the arguments, but if someone like Archie Manning, and we'll tell Jeremiah Smith, Ryan Williams, if this next wave of superstar talent in college, maybe they start staying longer and finishing out their eligibility because college football. Once these kids were able to leave early, because originally they had to stay till their senior year, and they could leave after their junior year, but they had to stay till their senior year. And so I think if you can get some of these high caliber players to start staying, I just think it gives them a little bit more experience. It gives them a little bit more pedigree. But at the end of the day, it makes the game better because the longer you stay, the more fine tuned you are, the more you understand the system, the more experience you have, the more talent you get around you. And if you get these guys to start staying, more kids are going to want to come to the school. I hope we see Arch Manning play out his eligibility because it'll be a breath of fresh air. It hasn't happened in decades at this point.
Yeah, I definitely get with that. Um, any final thoughts on the transfer portaling or Arch Manning or anything?
No, I'm good. What's the next topic?
Well, the next topic, I don't know if you want to talk about a certain gentleman if he wears his pants or not.
No,
Or
we save that for the next show. Let's just do a little teaser. I'm gonna go in on Bill Belichick because I wish I had the talent to bring in a top tier um escort, we'll say. That's a politically correct way to say it, right?
I guess.
She's
um,
escorting him all over the place. She's controlling interviews. She's running the show. She's telling him who to talk to and who not to talk to.
yeah,
She's even got a title at the of his the Bill Belichick organization, whatever. I don't know. Anyways, we'll talk about that next show.
definitely. There's a statement he made recently too. So we need to discuss that too. So we'll definitely save that for the next show. So the bottom line, to portal or not to portal, do you think the portal's working?
I mean, I still disagree with it, but I think the bigger Power Four schools I think are benefiting because they're able to fill holes without having to wait for the next recruiting class. The schools that these kids are transferring out of, they're getting hurt by it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it works both ways. I think some of these bigger programs like the Ohio States, the Texases, the Michigans, the Alabamas, LSU, they're able to fill holes with at some time it's experienced players that can come in and do the job the right way, and they don't have to worry about them with the growing pains. Um, but I think you're seeing a lot of these smaller schools are getting hurt by it because you're not having the kids aren't transferring from the big schools to go to the smaller schools. And
Mhm.
most of these transfers are all coming from smaller schools or schools that are on the downturn, and they're coming to the big schools that are on the upturn. So um, yeah, I guess the answer is yes and no. It works and it doesn't work.
Yeah, I definitely understand. But let's also not forget, not only does bigger schools are taking advantage and it works for them, the smaller schools also, right? The smaller schools that don't have the budget to bring in a massive commitment class every year in and year out, they rely on the transfer portal to fill in a lot of their needs that they don't get with their recruiting classes. University of Toledo, for example, recently I want to say they had upwards of like, I want to say 17 transfers this year. Yes, I said it.
Well,
17
yeah,
transfers.
but they're getting the bottom of the barrel because all the top level guys are coming to the big schools. But I will say this, and I'll let you finish. Teams like Dion, he went to Colorado and he wiped it out. He got rid of everybody and he used the transfer portal to the maximum of his capability, and he
Mhm.
rebuilt that franchise in one season, or rebuilt the university in one season. And so that's where I understand it. It's basically like, it's an expansion team type theory where you come in, and if you want to clean house because the culture is wrong, go to the transfer portal. There's a bunch of kids that want to come play football, and then you get to, you bring in, some of them work, some of them don't. But yeah, and I get the smaller schools are getting players. I'm not going to knock them on getting the players. I think they're getting the 2 stars, and occasionally they get a 3 star, but all the 4 stars and 5 stars are leaving the smaller schools to go to the bigger universities.
No, I completely understand. I will say that in the most recent transfer portal, there was some 4-star recruits that actually transferred from I want to say the University of Wisconsin to the University of Toledo. Also, more recently, um, Chip Trainum, a former running back for Ohio State, has transferred to University of Toledo to play for the Rockets. He originally began his college journey at Arizona State and then moved to Ohio State for 2 seasons before going to Kentucky. And now he's made his final pit stop at University of Toledo. So they're getting players. And let's not forget, of recent years, so University of Toledo has had some definite NFL talent that they have had in their grasp. I want to say the corner Mitchell, right? Kenyon Mitchell, I think it is. He
Kenyon Mitchell, for
yeah,
Philadelphia.
for Philadelphia Eagles, first round pick, just won a Super Bowl. Let's not forget about that. In addition, over the years they've had running
Siobhan,
backs. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Siobhan Revell in this draft just now came from a smaller school, went to the Cowboys, and if he hadn't gotten hurt, he'd have been a first top 15 pick.
Yeah, I agree. He definitely has the talent. So sometimes I understand they're getting the bottom of the barrel, like you said, but at the same time, in that barrel, there could be a diamond left there for the taking. That's what I'm saying. So don't just
Hey,
because
on the next show,
yeah.
we need. Sorry, it's complete. My ADHD is catching a hold. But on the next show, not only will we talk about um, the old man and the robbing the cradle that he's done, but we should also talk about Jeff Brom and get him his credit, because that dude is turning seventh stringers into NFL prospects, and he's turning them out like crazy. Tyler Shug, Aiden O'Connell, and I'll have more names for you, but that's definitely something I want to tease for next show too, because I think he needs to get some. He's turning into a heck of a QB whisperer. He's got, I think it's seven quarterbacks now that he's turned into NFL draft prospects, which is freaking phenomenal.
Definitely, I agree. We'll definitely talk about it in the next episode. So mark your calendar, everybody. Next episode, we're going to be talking that man over in North Carolina, and does he wear his pants in his family or not? And we'll also be talking about this NFL talent whisperer, right? That's what we're going to be talking about, and what he's doing, making seventh string, players play above their potential. So definitely we'll be talking about that More to come. In weeks to come, we're also going to be breaking down individual conferences. We'll be talking specifically about the MAC conference, the Mid American Conference, followed by the SEC, Big Ten, ACC, and the Big 12.
Stay tuned for the SEC one, because I think we'll have a good panel on that one. I've got 3 guys with Shake that we can get on, and I'll grab some other ones that are. I got a buddy of mine who's a big time LSU fan. I got an Alabama fan, 2 Florida Gator fans. Me as a Texas fan. We'll probably have a pretty good sized panel to break down the SEC.
Yeah, we'll also have a few guys that are going to come on talk about Big Ten football. So that's going to be a bigger panel as well. But we're going to do full breakdowns of the conference. We're going to talk about the state of the conference, what teams to watch out for, what we expect, and some interesting finds. So definitely keep an eye out for that. But while you're here, I know we're at the end. Make sure you hit the like button. If you're new, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell. Please follow us on Twitter. And also don't forget to follow us brand new on Spotify. You know you want to listen to us on your way to work. Maybe you're one of those truck drivers driving across the country, need some college football talk. Definitely listen to us. Some of our best episodes are on there now. So definitely check it out. And we appreciate all of you. Go ahead.
And to those on Spotify, give a shout out to Dave and Grouchy, Zanny, if you're listening. Appreciate y'all giving us the idea. Jimmy from Sleeper, if you're listening, shout out to you too, man. I appreciate the support that we have from all of y'all.
Definitely. And with that, we'll see y'all next time.